lovelies, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. In May of 2018, I published my debut novel, Starforged Orion. 23-year-old me was so proud that 6 years of hard work had finally come together. Well, 25-year-old me has come to realize that my work with the book is not finished yet. I have come to realize that my book needs a lot of work, and it could improve exponentially. I once said that I wasn't going to rewrite my debut novel until I had written 3 more books so that I really got to know myself and my process as a writer. However, even though I've really only written 1 book that I hope will be ready to be published by the end of the year, I feel ready to take on this new challenge. I have begun the process of rewriting my debut novel, Starforged Orion. This series is supposed to show you guys what the rewriting process is like when you're dealing with a published novel, the trials and tribulations that come with the process, and hopefully what the payoff is at the end of the process. For this episode, I'm going to be telling you why I want to rewrite my book. I've talked about this a bit in past videos, but I'll reiterate and clarify some things. As my debut novel, Starforged Orion was unfortunately written during a time where I had yet to find my voice and process as a writer. It took 4 years just to get a first draft out, and 6 years in total just to get it to the point that it is at now. And it took this long because I was really undisciplined as a writer. I spent the first 2 years of the writing process having only written about 5 to 7 scenes, not even entire chapters, because those 5 to 7 scenes focused on a specific character, that being August. I wanted to write these scenes first because August was my favorite of the characters. I wasn't as excited about writing the rest of the book because it had nothing to do with August or his relationship to the main character. And obviously, none of the scenes that I had written appeared right at the beginning of the book. I wrote these scenes with August in the order that they occurred, but that was the only semblance of order I really had. And even while I was writing these scenes, August changed a lot in appearance, depending upon which handsome actor I was obsessed with at the time. I know, that makes me sound so shallow and stupid. While I had a clear picture of his personality, his appearance wasn't so concrete. In fact, only one of the characters that I came up with was really concrete from the beginning, in every sense that they could be concrete. I knew what Barnaby looked like, I knew what his role in the story was, and I knew what his personality was. Everyone else has been through some kind of evolution, either through appearance, role in the story, or personality. And one of the characters who is in the story now wasn't there in the beginning, and I would go so far as to say that they were always vital to the story. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing that I had to work through all of this stuff. All writers have to do that, especially when they're writing their first book, because they need to figure out what works for them. The problem comes with the fact that I took so long to work this stuff out, and honestly, when I published, not everything was completely worked out, including some major plot holes. So why did I publish in the first place if I wasn't ready? Because I was afraid. During my senior year of high school, I talked to a lot of mentors and advisors who advised that I should get my first book done by the time I graduate from high school, because otherwise I'm never going to be able to find time to finish it during college because I'm going to be busy studying, and then after I graduate from college, I'm going to be busy working. They weren't trying to be malicious, their logic was pretty sound, but at the same time, none of these advisors and mentors were really writers. Normally they're right about how little time you have to yourself as a college student. I mean, we've all seen that little diagram of the triangle with the points that say good social life, enough sleep, and good grades, and you have to pick which 2 you're actually going to go for during college. College is hard and time-consuming, and things don't lighten up when you enter the workforce. And yet, somehow, other independent writers make it work. So I let the deadline get to my head. Obviously, I didn't have a book to publish when I graduated from high school. I didn't even have a book to publish when I graduated from community college. But I did have enough words to make a book by the time I graduated from my 4-year college. I got in my head and I told myself that if I didn't publish my book by the time I graduated, I was never going to be able to finish it and I was never going to get published because I would always be swamped with work. And that scared the shit out of me. So I skipped a lot of steps. I only had 4 beta readers look at the whole manuscript, 3 of whom I actually had to pay for their services. And I hired a family member to edit my book because he only charged a 6-pack of beer. And I only let my editor get 2 passovers of the book before I published. I didn't have any critique partners or arcs, and I honestly didn't have enough beta readers. I also let another emotion drive me at the end of the process. Spite. Now, don't get me wrong, spite can be excellent motivation. You just shouldn't make any major decisions while you're feeling spiteful. Which is unfortunately what I did. I actually got my BFA in musical theater performance, so I was in a couple of theater shows while I was in college. So, during my last show at college, the assistant director was actually getting ready to hold auditions for the next show, which he was going to be directing. So, during the rehearsal process of my last show, we had a little heart-to-heart, and he said that he had seen how much I had grown as an actor, and he was honestly really proud of me. So, I went into his auditions feeling pretty confident about myself. When I didn't even get a call back, it felt like a slap in the face. It felt like he had looked me in the eye and lied to me. So, to spite him, I announced to the world that I was going to be publishing my first book on the day that I graduated. Just to let him know that I didn't need him or his damn approval, and I could succeed without him. It doesn't really make sense in hindsight, but it made sense in my head at the time. And yes, that spite got me working on my book again, but it also made me make some really stupid decisions. So fear and spite should never run the show, and I unfortunately let them do that. It's been almost 2 years since I published Orion, so what exactly do I want to change? I'm basically starting from the ground up with a brand new outline. Most aspects and characters in the story are going to remain the same, but I am going to change some characters' actions and reactions so that they make a little bit more sense to the characters. Some characters and events I've already decided need to be cut because they don't add anything to the story. Don't worry though, they will probably be showing up somewhere else in the Starforge series. I also want to change the process that I'm going to be going through with this rewrite. I'll talk more a little bit about how that process is going to change as we get to each part of the process. But the gist is that I want more eyes on the manuscript. I need to take my time and be as thorough as possible. The long and short of this video is I want to rewrite my debut novel because I know it can be better and I know I can do better. That's all I have for you today. If you like this video, don't forget to bitch slap that like button, and while you're at it, why don't you bitch slap that subscribe button and flick that bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. My play How Are You is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. If you want to find other ways to support me, why don't you go ahead and check out my Patreon. I'm just saying you can become a beta reader if you wanted to. And don't forget to check out my other social media sites if you want more content. Toodles!